Ethereum had 8 co-founders. By the end of the first year, most of them weren't speaking to each other, and a 19-year-old was left holding the keys to a project worth billions. The kid. It's 2013. Vitalik Buterin is 19 years old. Skinny. Awkward. Russian-Canadian. Living in Toronto. He dropped out of the University of Waterloo after 1 year. Gave up a scholarship. At 17, he won a bronze medal at the International Olympiad in Informatics. At 18, he co-founded Bitcoin magazine, one of the first serious publications covering crypto. But Bitcoin isn't enough for him. He sees its limitations. He wants programmable money. He writes a white paper. It describes a new kind of blockchain, not just currency, a world computer, smart contracts, self-executing code, no middlemen, no lawyers, no banks. He calls it Ethereum. He emails it to 15 people. Within days, it's everywhere. The 8. Vitalik can't build this alone. He recruits 7 co-founders. Anthony D'Orio, Toronto entrepreneur, puts up early money, lets them use his apartment as headquarters. Charles Hoskinson, math background from Colorado, confident, loud, immediately starts calling himself the CEO. Gavin Wood, British computer scientist. He writes the yellow paper, Ethereum's technical blueprint. Joe Lubin, former Goldman Sachs executive, brings Wall Street credibility to a group of 20-somethings. Mihai Alisi, Jeffrey Wilkie, Amir Chitrit, early believers. Each brings something to the table. January 2014. Miami, the North American Bitcoin Conference. Vitalik takes the stage. He's 19. He looks like he's 15. He describes a world computer. The crowd goes quiet. Then they lose their minds. The money. Summer 2014, they launch a public crowd sale. Send Bitcoin. Get Ether. Simple as that. 42 days. 31,000 Bitcoin raised. About $18 million. No board of directors. No regulatory approval. Just a 20-year-old with a white paper and $18 million. The fallout. The cracks appear almost immediately. 8 co-founders. 8 egos. 1 project. Charles Hoskinson wants Ethereum to be a for-profit company. Venture capital. Equity. The Silicon Valley playbook. Vitalik wants a non-profit foundation. Open source. Owned by nobody. The crypto ethos. This is not a philosophical disagreement. This is a war for the soul of the project. Questions emerge about Hoskinson's credentials. Reports that he embellished his academic background. June 2014. Vitalik makes the call. Hoskinson is out. Chetrit too. Gone. The self-appointed CEO of Ethereum. Fired by a 20-year-old. Hoskinson doesn't go quietly. He calls it a power grab. Says the process was unfair. The Ethereum Foundation sets up in Zug, Switzerland. They call it Crypto Valley. The infighting continues behind closed doors. The launch. July 30th, 2015. Ethereum goes live. They call the first release Frontier. It works. Developers start building on it immediately. Smart contracts running on a global network. Gavin Wood quietly leaves the Ethereum Foundation in early 2016. Of the original 8, Vitalik is essentially the last one holding the wheel. The hack. April 2016. Someone builds something called the DAO on top of Ethereum, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, a venture capital fund run entirely by code, no humans in charge. People pour money in, $150 million worth of Ether, the largest crowdfund in history. There's just one problem. The code has a bug. June 17th, 2016. A hacker finds a recursive call vulnerability. They start draining the fund. 3.6 million Ether. $60 million. Vanishing in real time. The entire Ethereum community watches it happen. Helpless. But there's a catch. The stolen Ether is locked in a child contract. 28-day holding period before the hacker can withdraw. 28 days. That's the window. Act now or lose everything. The fork. The Ethereum community faces an impossible choice. 2 options. Both terrible. Option 1. Do nothing. Code is law. The hacker exploited a flaw in the smart contract, not the blockchain. By the rules of the code, that money is theirs. Option 2. Hard fork. Rewrite the blockchain's history. Reverse the theft. Pretend it never happened. But if you can rewrite the blockchain whenever something goes wrong, is it really decentralized? Is it really trustless? Vitalik advocates for the fork. The majority of the community agrees, but it's far from unanimous. July 20th, 2016. Block 1,920,000. The hard fork executes. The stolen ether is returned to the original investors. $60 million, back where it belongs. But not everyone accepts the fork. A minority refuses. They keep running the original unforked chain. They call their chain Ethereum Classic. One blockchain becomes two, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. The philosophical split is permanent. Code is law versus community consensus. Neither side backs down. The aftermath. Charles Hoskinson, the man fired by a 20-year-old. He goes and creates Cardano, a top 10 cryptocurrency. Gavin Wood, the author of the Yellow Paper. He builds Polkadot into a direct multi-billion-dollar rival. Joe Lubin founds Consensus, an Ethereum development powerhouse worth billions. He stays in the ecosystem but builds his own empire. 8 co-founders, now spread across the entire crypto industry, building competing networks, taking shots at each other on Twitter. Vitalik Buterin built the second most valuable cryptocurrency in the world before he could legally drink. The people he built it with became his rivals, his critics, and in some cases his direct competitors. Subscribe for more.